Leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss. Now you counting stars. Should've practiced more. Should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much. World combat sports. Talking way too much. World combat sports. Talking way too much. World combat sports.
Yo, big shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and game, A-Side official. No negotiation needed, period. You already know we back in the building. A big shout out to those who's been patient. You know, every now and then I do take a little break. But I want to start by getting to a legality, a court situation that has been going on behind the scenes with Gervonta Tank Davis. Those of you that follow the sport closely understands that Gervonta Tank Davis has had his share of legal woes. But in this particular case, I'm not saying he didn't have any discrepancies that he had to deal with, but it came down to business. They always talk about how boxing is a business. It is. And there's a lot of fighters who get into the business of boxing, and the initial introduction, right? It may be enticing enough for these fighters to sign. Like, I don't have the information on where a fighter can go to get resources to start off their career when it comes to the business. It's not a headquarters. It's not a way that they can find a letter. It's almost like a freestyle. You have to be selective in who you're choosing to be your managers. It's not easy. For Gervonta Davis, 30 victories in, 0 defeats, 1 draw, with 28 knockouts, one of the biggest stars in the sport, one of the biggest headliners in the sport, one of the most hated fighters in the sport, have been going through a legal situation. Okay, let's take a look at the court filing. Okay, this was the appellate court of Maryland. Okay, Batiste against Davis. All right, this is an unreported opinion. This opinion may not be cited as precedent within the rule of stare decisis. It may be cited for persuasive value only if the citation conforms to Maryland rule. Pretty much to sum this up, I'm going to read, and then I'm going to kind of give you an overlay if I can. This is definitely outside my scope, even though I do have some college credits. You know what I'm saying? It's not enough for me to properly, tell you from start to finish how this all works. I'm pretty sure there's some unqualified, unlicensed attorneys out there that'll break this down and try to tell you, hey, boxers, I just want to let you know, if you have any questions, just hit me in the DM. I can give you all the legal consultation that you want. It says on December 4th, 2019, y'all, Kevin Batiste and Wayne Roy, together creditors, received a default judgment in the amount of $390,000 against appellee Gervonta Davis, stemming from a breach of contract. Complaint for Roy's 3 months of services, y'all. Listen to me. A breach of contract for 3 months of services to Davis as his boxing manager. Now, this is way back then when he initially opened the door to start his boxing adventure. This just goes to show you how a fighter can have all the talent in the world, but yet a lack of direction or avenues of approach in how to seek out the right people. Because, once you start to make a name for yourself and build up your career and people see potential, they start telling you, hey, you don't need that person. You don't need this person. You don't need that. And most of the time, boxers, we've seen that they believe that they can just divorce themselves, egress from the situation, and that's not the case. It goes on to say, on January 3rd, 2022, creditors and Davis entered into an agreement whereby David paid creditors $468,000 to satisfy the judgment. Okay. At first, they received a default judgment in the amount of $390,000. Okay. And it was said that Davis and the creditors entered an agreement where Davis paid the creditors $468,000 to satisfy the judgment. After receiving payment, y'all, the creditors, Kevin Batiste and Wayne Roy, did not record the judgment, but indeed move forward and continue to pursue discovery efforts. Davis did not respond to any of these discovery requests. Eventually, on July 27th, 2023, an order was sent to Davis requiring him to show cause. And look, they got the money, but didn't even report the judgment as if it had been sufficed. They didn't even do their due diligence. Man, boxing is a dirty game. It goes on to say August 25th, 2023, Davis responded to the show cause and moved for the judgment to be declared satisfied under Maryland Rule 2-TAC 626 Bravo. On September 13, 2023, the Circuit Court for Baltimore City held a hearing and the court granted Davis' motion. Now, let me kind of summarize a little bit more as to how this all played out. It was a court hearing where Gervonta Davis didn't show up. And in the process of him not showing up, they rendered a default judgment. In the process of that default judgment, they was waiting to get paid, per the court order, and they tried to insinuate or pretend like Davis haven't paid them anything, when in fact he paid them close to $500,000. They went back and continued to try to do discoveries on Tank as if he still owed them a single penny, not recording the money that he had paid them for the judgment. And see, this just goes to show you that people will be relentless, y'all. They will be relentless in trying to collect money. Why? Because I guess these two individuals was there somewhat from the inception when Davis was still trying to find direction. And you might find a lot of people that can give you lip service about the business of boxing, right? But it's a lot of them that can't guide you in the right direction. And then there's some who can get you a certain individual to be your manager. But if you're not intellectually inclined or savvy enough to read line for line and make sure that the language is the way it's supposed to be. The legality part that protects you, the fighter. Then you can find yourself in court later on when you start to build your career. And then you get to a point where people on your team, including management, start to shuffle around. You start to make different decisions, and come to find out that people that you thought you had got rid of, they have you locked into something that you consider unjust. And that's when you, depending on who you are, you have to pay extra money to the court system to get yourself up out of there. And if you have any type of liability, sometimes you just have to bite the bullet, as they call it. And being that these people had, I guess, locked in a 5-fight deal for Gervonta, I guess, or whatever, he didn't fulfill that. So they felt with every discovery that they had and the money that he was making, they tried to say, okay, per what we was charging him and this fight from this year to that year, they provided the window. Per the amount of fights he would have been signed with us, it comes up to this amount. And the only thing they can do is take him to court. And then sometimes even when you go to court, that's not enough, because it's beyond my scope of knowledge to ask why Tank didn't show up. Tank might have not showed up because his attorney said, no, don't show up to court. We're going to take care of this. And when he didn't, they automatically render a judgment in favor of the creditors. Well, the good part is that they found out that he did satisfy and paid them close to $500,000, and they could not get another penny out of him. Then they tried to appeal it, and the reconsideration was denied. So this is a perfect example as to why boxing business is extremely difficult when it comes to certain fighters. Imagine if you're not savvy. Imagine if you don't have the people or anyone to turn to guide you in the right direction. What if you continue to tread in a rough current and you're struggling to stay above water? That shit is wild. Real talk. A big shout out to my guy Christopher C. Dub with the $7 in the Cash App. Salute to you, brother. Not only that, but thank you for always supporting channels. Not just mine, but other channels too. You know what I'm saying? One love to you, brother. Salute. Always. That's a thorough brother, as we call it growing up. Much appreciated, man. But those fighters like Tank, we can talk about Mikey Garcia. We can talk about Boots Ennis. Well, I mentioned sometime about him being locked in with Victory Boxing Promotion and Chris Menendorf, on how Cameron Duncan and Menendorf split. And they felt that, it was okay for them to split, being it was a managerial thing. And Chris Menendorf took it to court, said, no, it was a promotional agreement, not just a manager agreement. So at one point in time, he had to be grounded. Jerron Ennis was grounded because, some people didn't, some of his people or whatever didn't quite understand all the ramifications with them leaving an agreement or breaching a contractual agreement. So they had to sit out and make sure, they go to court because when it came down to it, if he was to get into any type of fight or get scheduled for any type of fight, Menendorf can sue if he don't get a percentage. And the only way to get your percentage via the paperwork is court. I'm just putting it out there. It don't have anything to do with Boots, but he was in one of those situations. Mikey Garcia noticeably was in one of those situations. it's a plethora of fighters, to include Tank Davis, that was in a situation where when he initially joined the boxing club and he began to, you know, expand his brand, so to speak. Yeah, you know, the people that he was signed with, and then those who was in, you know, you had one group, one voice in his left ear, the other one in his right ear, and they say, "Hey, come over here. Don't worry about this, that, and the other. We'll look out for you." And then, you know, what seemed easy, you know, for some people, they say, "Hey, he think he can just leave us behind, and we was with him from the inception? No, we're gonna make you pay. Not only that, you're gonna pay us extra." And then when they paid them the judgment, they want to keep on leeching and sucking the blood out of that dude. No wonder Tank was feeling frustrated. And look, I try to tell people Tank has some personal shit going on without going in depth, but you really can't lock down someone's attention span. You know, like some people attention span is based off how good they know you, or do you hold down a hierarchy of notoriety? Are you a basic individual, or you someone that some people in the general public look up to, not as mentors, but somehow you have a higher level above average of importance in life? I mean, I'm just saying. But I try to tell people that, you know, there was personal issues going on, legal trouble that he was dealing with. So congratulations to Tank for being able to finally sever these individuals from being a part of his life, especially when it comes down to money. And he can move on with them without them being a passenger, you know, as he continued to motor forward as one of the, you know, best boxers in the sport. Now, with that said, and this is off his mind now, the Lamont Roach fight should be that much interesting. You know, he doesn't have that to deal with anymore. And hopefully everything else is going well in his training camp with his trainers. You know, that is a big deal when you look at it, with a fighter going into training camp, but yet he has all these, you know, these people that's constantly hounding him for money. And, you know, he happened to pay retainer fees for his attorney to continue to deal with these individuals. So that's one thing about, you know, the legal aspect of it. You're going to pay your attorneys. That ain't an option. What attorney that you pay, you better hope that they're on par with where you need to be to get through this. And they're not just taking your funds. That's all I'm saying. But shout out to Tank, man. Salute to you. I want to also bring up another part of, you know, Tank's situation when it comes to the vindication part of it. You heard me say vindication. What I mean by vindication. The vindication, to my point, is based off his last fight. Okay. When you think about vindication, there's a lot of areas that you can search when it comes to the definition to try to find out where you want to insert it in your type of victory for whatever situation. The action of clearing someone of blame or suspicion. Gervonta Davis' last fight, it was very, very controversial. It's not like we haven't seen or heard any controversy that goes on in boxing. Absolutely, people. But it's the accusatory, the maliciousness that goes on in the boxing community that causes things to go into a turbine. I mean, a turbine of ridicule, you know what I'm saying? Extremely overboard when it comes to criticism. Individuals become belligerent. You are talking about a fighter who's known to compete at the highest level, been on the pound for pound list. In my opinion, still is a pound for pound fighter. But he had a very controversial win. There are certain boxing pundits who believe that Tank Davis was defeated. And see, don't blame me for the way I sometimes visualize, certain cubes, of looking at things, right? How sometimes, peeling back the layers is different for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Psychological itemization is different when you itemize something through imagination. Tank Davis took a knee in his last fight. And depending on what conversation panel or who's in your company and their level of boxing knowledge, they telling you that if Steve Willis would have counted, the fight, would have been won by the one and only Lamont Roach. Yeah, shout out to Lamont Roach. I'm so happy that Lamont Roach was able to get a world tour coming off this fight. I'm extremely happy that Lamont Roach was able to get a world tour off this because he needed it and a payday. What I like even more is that people was online saying that Lamont Roach knew everything that Tank was going to do. Tank underestimated him. Now, this is the same Lamont Roach who people was absolutely crying about. Coming up for 130. Nobody wanted to see it. Why is Tank pulling up another fighter from a lower division? They seen it with Hector Luis Garcia. Now it's Lamont Roach. Oh my God. Come on, people. They was hammering Tank. I mean, when you want to talk about hailstorm precipitation, it was thundering. It was lightning. People were shitting on Lamont Roach like a donkey with diarrhea. Oh my God. I mean, it's no way that this same Lamont Roach that we see going around on the world tour, it's the same Lamont Roach that they was damn shitting on before Tank stepped in the ring and fighting. They said, "Oh, don't nobody want to see this shit. No, nobody want to see this." Lamont Roach, he was defeated by Jamel Herring. And I said, wow. The boxing circle of delusion, it never gets old. The herd mentality, yo. It never gets old with boxing because they tend to gauge a fighter's worth off one specific fight. And more times, it's based off a loss. Now, sometimes, yeah, you do get people to say, "Oh man, so-and-so had a very great fight with this particular fighter, man. Oh man, that was the best performance I ever seen him or her, this, that, and the other." But then when it comes to certain other fighters, you know what they do? They tend to always hallmark that moment when that fighter is up for discussion. They were saying Lamont Roach was defeated by Jamel Herring, a fighter who they didn't really like himself. People would say Jamel Herring was beat up by Shakur Stevens. That's not the only fight that Jamel Herring had in his career. But to prove a point, they went off Lamont Roach's credibility, not the fact that he had beaten a common opponent in Hector Luis Garcia, a common opponent that Tank had fought at 135, who was a reigning defending champion at 130. You didn't hear this type of outrage, people. Am I lying? We didn't get this type of outrage. We did not hear that when Hector Luis Garcia moved up. We didn't hear the type of excoriation when it came to Hector Luis Garcia splitting the ropes to fight Tank. But when Lamont Roach, who's also damn near similar to Hector Luis Garcia, he's a champion at 130. He's currently holding the belt And the fighter that he defeated to get that belt was Hector Luis Garcia. He moved up. And I ain't gonna lie. The press conference, that shit was tree sap. Oh, yeah, that was tree sap, dog. That was like looking at tree sap, man. And just waiting for the thing, if it's a possibility that a drop would separate itself from the tree. And how long will it take to hit the base? It was boring, y'all. And it didn't help the criticism that people already had for the fight. But yet, when the bell rang, the fight ended up being much more entertaining than a lot of fight fans could imagine, based off paperwork and based off, more recent fights that they consider to be important. Then they start looking third, fourth, fifth round. They say, oh shit, this is a nice one. Oh my God. And then the tank haters start to get up and they remind you if you was a goddamn extra in Sinners. Motherfuckers dancing in the middle of the motherfucking parking lot. Eyes red, goddamn shit dripping off their mouth. Oh, they were salivating. They were salivating, y'all. The tank was goddamn looking bad in this fight. It was Sinners all over again. Them fight fans couldn't wait to the next round. They couldn't wait, yo. They was out there dancing around and all them mugs was happy. I'm talking about evil, wishing nothing but ill will and discontent on Tank. Then it got to the point where Tank ended up having to take a knee because of a braid in his hair. And this is where the music stopped. He put down that guitar. The music stopped. Because how can you blame Tank for taking a knee, but yet the 8 count is absent? It wasn't his AOR area of responsibility to count himself. He's a boxer. Not only did Tank take a knee, but he did something that I don't think I've ever seen in the last 10 years without a result. A compliant result being handed down right there on the spot. This man took a knee and then went over to the ropes and asked politely, excuse me, gentlemen, can you please provide me with a clean towel? Yes, a clean towel. I have to wipe my face. I'm pretty sure some people over there on the sideline like, what the F? What are you doing? They're going to DQ you. Nah, I'm the face of PBC. Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm not the A side. I'm the side. He took the towel. He wiped the sweat away from his brows. Okay. He dabbed and everything around his face, because he say a braid hit him in the eye and he was temporarily blinded. Now, for me, a voice that has been known to show minimal bias, I felt what he did was in the best interest of his health, people. For if a man, hold on for a second. Now, for a man to take a knee voluntarily while he's in an active 12-round fight, stand up from that knee while there's a third man in the ring who is holding the title as referee. And for that referee to begin, but yet halt. And then from halt, he did what? Canceled, aborted the count. He's seen, even though I say, him and Teofimo, and Teofimo might be Steve Willis' son. I don't know. Maybe he didn't see. Both of them have, different type of visual zoom and lenses and direction and line of fire and line of sight. Maybe he didn't see Tank take a knee. He just saw him getting up and he started the fight, but quickly aborted the count. Then Tank went over to there with the ropes and grabbed the towel. Referee Steve Willis did not execute a penalty or deduct a point on Tank at that time, right? But I want you to listen to what the Mexican Monster had to say in pertaining to this situation, because I have defended Tank Davis. I said, hey, man, these fighters want to go to the ring and make sure, they are suited and booted. And also to the black fighters, they even some non-black fighters, sometimes they want to get some special braids in their hair. In order for their hair to stay down and not be looking a certain way in the ring, you have to put some type of hair pomade, grease, something to hold it down, depending on who's doing your hair. But listen to what David had to say. Okay, listen to this.
I know the got in his eye, but they should have counted it. They would have counted it. It would have went to Lamont Roach. What I didn't like, Tank did that, so I know the got in his eye, but they should have counted it. They would have counted it. It would have went to Lamont Roach. What I didn't like about Tank, he was gassing up Lamont Roach way too much, and he was already talking about like retiring.
He seemed a little distracted in the fight.
That wasn't the same Gervonta Davis we're really used to seeing.
It just lets you know how corrupt like these governing bodies are, bro.
What was that, Henry Cejudo? Henry Cejudo say how corrupt? Oh, when combat used the C word, then they want to call it something other than, And yeah, we already know it's been corrupt. But back to what Benavidez said, that wasn't the Tank we used to seeing. Let's keep it moving.
Bro, if that dude took a knee, not only did he take a knee, he said, hold on real quick. Let me get this out of my eye. How is that not a point? Like,
Funny thing, bro, that's why I cut my braids off. I had braids, and I had the same thing. I went through the same when I fought Andre. That burning my eyes. So
what was that again? No, you didn't. What did you say? There Benavidez. Are you saying another elite fighter who has been known, has had witnesses, who has film out there of him having braided hair, who is now on record saying that's why he cut his hair, because he too had experienced the Gervonta Davis epic moment. He too has been in a situation where his braid hit him in the eye. Listen to him.
And I had the same thing. I went through the same when I fought Andre. That burning my eyes. So I cut braids off. I had braids, and I had the same thing. I went through the same when I fought Andre. That burning my eyes. Same thing. I went through the same when I fought Andre. That burning my eyes. So I
vindicated. Oh, he's vindicated. He's vindicated. Oh, yes, he is. Now, whenever El Chin Checker name come up again, he said he went through the same thing, yo. Am I right or wrong? David Benavidez said that he has went through the same thing when he had his braids. And that's what led to him cutting his hair, because he experienced the exact same situation of adversity as Tank Davis. Now, for those of you that was out here claiming that Tank had made it up, clearly by the footage that was shown in the fight and based off what Tank said himself. And yes, it was a clear assignment of error on Steve Willis's part. Absolutely. I would put the culpability on Steve Willis. And whether there was some type of punishment rendered, I doubt it. I doubt it because the referees, I mean, you know, they don't have to answer to nobody that we know. But truth be told, you have to understand that Tank just making this situation up, that he was in the eye because the fight was supposedly not going his way. That's what his haters were saying. The fight wasn't going his way. You need to take a look at this live stream and hit the replay, gang. All right, twin. I want to challenge you to the Tank haters who kept on saying that he was making this up and you was mad. One thing I disagree with Benavidez is that if they would have gave Tank the count, Lamont Roach would have won. You're missing an important factor, and I've been through this before. And repeat. You ready? I always say the IRB, the Institution Review Board, in order for you to review and come up with a validated conclusion, whether you use deductive reasoning or you just want to talk out your ass, when you're gathering evidence, you have to speak as if the situation occurred at that moment, Gervonta took a knee and he was counted. Me, nor you, or anyone else could suggest, based off real time, looking back in hindsight, that you could have guessed right to the nail on the head. You know what I'm saying? The hammer to the nail. You could have guessed what the Gervonta Davis reaction would have been if he would have received the 8 count, if he would have been a 10-8 round. We don't know. We can't look back at it and say, well, he would have did this. It's no way for us to come to a validated conclusion. There's no way for us to convey with any type of evidence, looking back in hindsight, that this would have happened this specific way. So, of course, that is my thought process. We can stop it at the 10th round, and we can say there was error, dereliction of duty, which the referee should have been reprimanded by whoever was in charge. But what I do like is, you understand where I'm coming from, right? When you activate your routing, your mapping, when you archiving information, you respect where I'm coming from, right? Because pretty much all I'm saying is, when someone mistakenly told Crawford he was behind unofficially on the scorecards, he came out the next round, and we all know what history tells us. We don't know if Gervonta Davis would have crashed out. We don't know if he would have tightened everything up and said, you know what? This is going to be hard to sell to the judges. A 10-8 round. It's a close fight. Okay. It's time to level change. It's time to shift gears. You know what I'm saying? You don't know how Tank would have acted. So therefore, guess what? You can only stop at round 10. You can say round 10, Steve Willis counted. He should have, could have, would have. But he didn't. He D-I-D-N. He N. He did not do it. Dereliction of duty goes to Steve Willis, right? That's what his grade. He get an F in grade for failing to give Gervonta Davis a count. Now, moving forward, of course, the haters are now corralling themselves, just like the aerosexuals used to do when they thought it was going to be a rematch. But I'm not trying to talk about them, okay? Okay? I'm not trying to. What I want you to know is simply that certain people believe that Lamont Roach is the equalizer. Really? They're looking at Lamont Roach like he's Denzel Washington. They thinking, oh man, he really has Tank's timing. He really is the equalizer, 1, 2, and 3 of Tank Davis. They're taking previous footage of how he performed and them bragging so much about a fighter that they gave minimal chances of beating Tank. Minimal. But boy, when that fight ended, you want to talk about, you would have thought they had a freaking acute symptoms of snotitis, the way that shit was dripping from their facial area. I mean, you know, you ever seen how you look at a bull and them bulls are up there drooling, that thick ass saliva and snot and everything? Boy, when goddamn Lamont Roach, that fight ended, you had so many people that was out there looking for this moment to hate on Tank that they start faking like they was all of a sudden Lamont Roach fans now. You would have thought you promoted them to Eagle Scout. They say, oh, Lamont Roach, he beat that boy. He beat that boy. Yeah, see, I don't want to hear that shit. Combat talking about. I say, oh, hold up. I'm just telling you this right here, that Tank's not to blame for dereliction of duty. He's not to blame for the count not happening, nor is he to blame for no point deduction. Okay? It's a lot that he's not blamed for, but what I can blame him for is being extremely polite and having etiquette in the heat of combat. You understand what I'm saying? You may not remember, but let me remind you, Tank Davis was very truthful in his fight with Lamont Roach. He told him, they're not going to give you the fight. It's no matter what you're doing, they're not going to get. Now, how polite and tactfully could you let somebody know in the heat of battle that regardless of what you're doing, it may look good, the oohs, the ahs, and all that. But when it comes down to comprehension, when it comes down to being docile, when it comes down to being the face of a promotion, it is Tank's duty to inform his opponent, regardless of the personality or charisma. He told that man, no matter what you do, they're not going to give it to you. Okay? You can be happy and think all this. You can be jumping for joy and cheering all you want. But tonight, the way you look is not the reward you're going to get. Okay? I just wanted to be courteous enough to let you know before the final tick. God damn it, that final bell in the ring, and they came down with that draw. Come on now. Somebody go find the diddler. People start to shun Tank. Whoo, they was mad. Look, they was boxing fans that act like they was based off morals and principles in this bitch. Oh my God, yo. They start to shun Tank. They was like, no way, he cheated. I'm like, excuse me, over here, please. Yeah, here. Yeah, you can come on close distance a little bit. Come here. How's it Tank's fault that the referee received a failing grade, and also his oversight? Once again, he might have had the Tevin Farmer effect. He might have only seen it in one direction, and the other direction was quite, a little bit slightly blurred. I don't know. Steve was a good guy to me. Okay. But truthfully speaking, he did not give Tank the count. How's it Tank's fault? He did not deduct the point. How's it Tank's fault? How's it his fault? It's not his fault. You know who's at fault? The fans that start to vilify this man in public once again, as if he's to blame for the referee's dereliction to do it. And not only that, now they tried to create this elaborate scheme as if they was rocking with Lamont Roach all along. Come on, stop it. That's not even adorable. You better stop it. Before I go out there until you get that switch, you better stop lying. I'm telling you, these sinners, they was out there in the parking lot. Boy, they was dancing their ass off, boy. I'm eyes red as hell, boy. They was trying their best to come up with all these schemes and things to try to make Tank look a certain way. All of a sudden, they are Lamont Roach fans. The leaps and bounds they had to go through to sell themselves, knowing that they was fake and they was out here fraud, masquerading around post-fight, pretending like all of a sudden they're a Lamont Roach fan. All to criticize Tank and say he got beat. He was defeated. He should have a won. No, this is not Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia now. This doesn't have to do with performance enhancing drugs, but it does have to do with performance. The E for enhancing. Yeah. And the D for decision. That's what upset them, y'all. The performance enhancing decision. People felt like Lamont Roach, all of a sudden, someone that they're embracing. They felt that he should get the benefit of the doubt. Why couldn't Lamont beat Tank? They say this man whooped Tank. Like, once again, WCS was standing, just a little bit off in the shadows. And I was like, stop lying. Stop lying. Stop doing that. Stop just going around trying to act like lying is an epidemic. No, you got to have some type of damn integrity within yourself now. The great part about this rematch that's coming up real soon is that it will consist of a third man in the ring with judges, 3 judges on the outside apron, with a commission and a promotion. Not only that, there will be a sanctioning body in attendance. Not only that, you will have these mumbling fans, these haters that's been shitting on Tank Davis the whole time, talking about he's on the decline. He's not who he used to be. I mean, you get to see them once again come back and try their best to support Lamont Roach. And look, I have no problem with Lamont Roach. Is a good guy. I have to tell people that. I don't wish no ill will on Lamont Roach. I just want to find out why these fake fans that's trying to claim that they've been rocking with Lamont Roach is acting like it's genuinely okay for them to be fake. They weren't trying to rock with Lamont Roach. So with all these scenarios, right? When you hear these people on panels having these discussions, right? They come up with these scenarios and they'll be like, based off what I've seen, this is in theory, right? I see a dramatic composition that's on the horizon, y'all. Let's not deviate from the first fight. Lamont Roach knows everything he needs to know about Tank. So what's going to be even easier in the rematch is that he don't need to change a thing. Because I think that was the best Gervonta Tank Davis that Lamont Roach has fought. Man, get out of here. Stop it. Come on, man. Stop with the abracadabra, hocus pocus. I can slap 100 locusts. You see a swarm of locusts, your ass running. I am not trying to hear all these people believe that all of a sudden, when they put the hookah down, with any, everything else they have in their hand that they're throwing down with a chaser, that all of a sudden Lamont Roach is going to come in there and give Tank Davis the business. It's not going to happen, yo. Even though I like Roach, he has an extremely challenging uphill climb to stay conscious. Once again, he has an extremely challenging climb to stay conscious in the reality of the rematch. Okay, he has an extremely challenging climb to stay conscious the entire fight. Okay, I don't want to sound excessive or cruel. I don't want to bring back a don't be cruel, because I will never be that way to you. I don't want to be cruel about it. But how many of you all up here listening believe that Lamont Roach is going to make it to the distance? How many of y'all? Come on now. Let me talk to me. How many of y'all think Lamont Roach going to make it the distance? How many, man? How many think this man is going to be conscious for the entire chapter of the 12-round affair championship showcase? How many of y'all think he's going to be conscious the entire time? Not many of you all think that shit. Y'all may want that shit to happen, but a lot of y'all are like, nah, I can't really put no money on that, man. I don't want to outdo myself. I don't know. But I'm gonna let, El Chin Checker, have his day. Salute to him from finally being vindicated away from those disrespectful, greedy, overbearing thieves that thought they can continue to try to source money from Tank Davis. It's good he was able to get from underneath that, burden, thinking about that shit when he goes to sleep and when he wakes up. Let's keep it moving. I want to talk about Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez fight. I spoke about it briefly on the live, but let me just try to be respectful. It's amazing, right, that Teofimo, when he was unified champion, he played games with Devin Haney, who's the WBC champion. Teofimo Lopez, after beating Vasily Lomachenko, he had either an avenue where he can drop the IBF belt and let Kambosos have it, and face Devin Haney, who in a lot of people's minds was absolutely not even close, a bigger fight. When he was at 135, it was a bigger fight, absolutely. Then, if you want to include the fathers into the fray, man, they was going back and forth, man, over and over and over again, man, repetitively. I mean, it's like riding a bike, man, and you going down here and the chain keep popping off. It was bound to crash sooner or later. And these two were shaking hands, acting like the fight was actually going to happen between Teofimo and Devin Haney. Never happened. Never happened. Never happened. So Teo, they was making some little personal remarks even back then. He selected Kambosos. He would go in there and lose to Kambosos after the fight being delayed 3 times. Then Matchroom picked it up, and he goes in there and he loses. We all know what happened from then. Teo moved up from the division, and his name was no longer a part. Devin Haney would go on to contend in the Aussie double and not only win and become undisputed and white glove the division, but he defended his title in the backyard of Kambosos. Now, of course, Kambosos didn't come out of here, without any type of monetary reward. He got paid very well. Devin Haney was able to change his entire career around, becoming undisputed, defending the title, coming back over here, defending it again against Vasily Lomachenko. But the point I was trying to make with these two, they should have fought at 135. I mean, every time you turned on, people was talking about, I want to see Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez. I want to see Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney. That's what people was talking about. Then they moved up to 140. Teo moved up before Haney. He ended up beating Josh Taylor after several fights. And Haney moved up and got a belt with Regis Prograis. Since then, it has been nothing but standing water between these two. Like a pothole in the street. No one was really even thinking about this because the names started lining up with other, former kings, so to speak, of the lightweight division. Devin Haney name started lining up with who? Ryan Garcia. And the wild part about this Devin Haney saga, when you look at the wishbone, was at one point in time, people was wishing that he fought Teofimo Lopez, right? That Teofimo Lopez fought Devin Haney. It was nothing Haney could do because he was locked in the WBC beneath the umbrella of the franchise championship. But then when you switch it over to Ryan Garcia, when Ryan beat Luke Campbell to become the interim WBC champion, for those of you that don't consider that belt a champion, Devin Haney jumped in the ring to let the world know, hey, I want to fight you next. I want to fight you next, Ryan. And what Ryan say? Yeah, you my boy and everything, but no, I want to fight Gervonta. See? I can't make this shit up now. I can't make this shit up. Not only that, I consider that to be a huge duck on Ryan Garcia. Then he pulled out the fight with Tank. He said he was going to fight Manny Pacquiao. And then he digressed from that. And we all know what happened. So when it comes to Devin Haney and Teo being in a whirlwind in the lightweight division, it happened. Now all of a sudden, they're trying to pull off strings again. Check this out, people. The audacity. We saw a three-fight card, which any other fight could have been main event, depending on what region, what location, what footprint, right? So the one person who stepped through the ropes and did what he was supposed to do and get the win was Devin Haney. Though people will have their criticism, however it may come, he got the job done. As for Ryan Garcia, he lost. Okay. So therefore, not only did he lose, but all of a sudden he has to have hand surgery and all this other shit. Now that Ryan's out of the equation, I'm talking about 1 + 8 = 12. He's out of the equation, period. Now, all of a sudden, on default rebound, they want to bring in Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez. Let me take a sip to that. So I'm asking myself, right? How is the fans? What is the reception meter from the fans on a fight that so many of us was wishing, hoping for at 135? Now they want to potentially fight at a catchweight. How would a reception be from the hardcore fight fans to get this matchup on the rebound? What do you think, people? As boxing fans, we're getting this fight on the rebound. I'm flabbergasted. I am, man. I'm trying not to complain, but how do you, the fight fans, feel about getting a matchup that was the talk? I'm talking about the chitter chatter, make your brain rattle when they was at 135. You couldn't turn on YouTube, yo. When Teo had the belts and they was trying to figure out who he was going to fight, you couldn't turn this mother effer on without hearing someone talking about having a thumbnail up. Just go to through some of these primary media segues on here and put it and put that information in. Back then, they thought for sure that Teofimo and Devin Haney was going to fight. Now we're getting a fight that is clearly off the backboard, y'all. Talk to me now. This fight is off the backboard. You know what I'm saying? The Muggsy Bold up there rebounding, goddammit. I'm saying, look, it's easy for Muggsy Bold, a spud way up the rebound when all the big men are down the court. Hey, you got this one, man. Go ahead, man. Shit, just dribble that shit up, man. Just dribble that shit. There's no need, man. Come on, man. I mean, do what you got to do. Teofimo and Devin Haney is set to fight in August off a rebound fight. And it's just all bad, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to put this fight in obscurity before it actually makes its appearance to the first presser. I'm not doing that. But boxing, oh my God, they have to stop this, man. The dysfunctionality, bro. The you know, the way you go about making fights happen more so at the wrong time than the right. Like, this fight was so huge back then, yo. And then to sit up here and get a fight on the rebound off the backboard. We getting an off the backboard oop. And you expect the fight fans to just fall in and say, oh man, I wasn't expecting this. But guess what? I'll support it. I'll still show it somewhat of respectable value. I'll support it. You know what's even makes it more effed up? Not to sound like I'm radically invested, but I will say this right here. Certain people are going to look at this fight and say, yeah, T.O. did what he's supposed to do against Barbosa, but it wasn't over the top yippee-ki-yay. Then they look at Devin Haney and they say, yeah, we saw what he did with Jose Ramirez. I'm not trying to see that. It's a funk. It's a funk that's floating around. You know, like that film of invisible funk, but it's a little smoky. It's a little musty. You know what I'm saying? It smells like gorilla armpits. This fight, it does. It's none of your special cologne to put here. This is gorilla armpits. You know what I'm saying? When do you ever seen gorilla up there in the motherfucking water, you know, washing themselves off and getting up on them armpits? No. It's a funky type of situation right now. And like I said before, I'm not crapping on the fight, but it's just how it just fell into the conversation of boxing fans. And you want them to respect it? Like, this couldn't happen at a worse time because both of them are coming off a pretty okay performance. And they're very, very familiar names. The level of expectation was high, but it failed to meet even the lowest bar of entertainment value. So to put these two, who the fight fans wasn't looking for, they was looking for Devin Haney to get his get back with Ryan Garcia. Now they give Teofimo Lopez, who's going around and trying to play every character you possibly could find in the centers. Teofimo's trying to be the one that the Indians was chasing initially. He's trying everything to be the good guy, the bad guy, the bad guy, the good guy. He don't know what he want to do. He's just trying to be 100 different characters, bro. He put it out there that they offered me $11 million and I turned it down. So I'm saying to myself, when I hear Teofimo putting it out there and his, whatever those supporters of his doing, when I hear him say some shit like that, it made me want to really up my game in this media business. It made me want to go out here and interview a crash test dummy. I do. It don't have to be on boxing. I just want to ask them certain things because I know they're going to give me the right answers. All the damn, CTE they've experienced going through the front windshield. I just want to ask, is it any possible way that the brain damage that they have, being that this is their professional job, is it any way that a person like Teofimo Lopez can somehow get the same severity of damage in the boxing ring of just being goofy? That, is it symptoms that I can relate from you all? The crash test dummies that I see in him. He has to have something going on up there where there's some nuts that's loose. Some bolts that need tightening. Please find a torque wrench. T.O.'s going around here every other day. He's going back and forth with Turkey. He ain't doing this. He ain't bowing down. Then all of a sudden he's apologizing. I'm serious. I mean, when you look at it, Turkey, you inviting these guys off a controversial moment, racially insensitive. You invited them to be hosts at the ring. That lets me know that Turkey gave a damn about what they did. Turkey said, I don't play by your politics, so I could care less the way you feel. I'm going to invite them out to be presenters on the Ring Magazine Award. You know what I'm saying? Turkey just slapped us in the face. He did. He grabbed a piece of freaking old stale bread and got some of that buffalo snot and went up here and slapped us in the face with it. He had Ryan Garcia up there coming off his controversial moment, suspended for pads as a presenter. Had Teofimo Lopez coming off his monkey freaking racial comment presenting. Had Devin Haney up there. I'm not sure why he had Devin, but we knew it was going to be something that to bring these two fighters together, him and Ryan together, because they was pretty much conjoined via competing in the ring for 12 rounds, right? And it left the fight fans with lingering controversy. So Turkey said, yeah, let me take full advantage of this. Let me bring them to the stage too. And though, the ambience and everything looked great, though I was kind of like a stark supporter of Turkey initially, I found out that he really don't care. Turkey really don't care what we think over here. And, we have people that would be, on live and on social media for hours at a time arguing, debating vigorously about a situation that they cannot make one minute change. They can't make one revision to. You have someone throwing in their face that, yeah, you can sit up here and talk about what should happen to Ryan Garcia, but I don't care nothing about that. You could talk about what Teo said about the blacks and all that, but I don't care about it. And you're not going to do anything. Look, he said, you're not going to do anything about it. I'm going to invite them to a black tie affair, and you can't do nothing about it except talk. So we was all hoping that Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney get the Run It Back Part 2. No, that's not going to happen. That has been shelved. but it's worthy for conversation, but it's been shelved. I'm just being honest with you. Now we have to go for a rebound fight. Do I not like this fight? I have no vested interest in whether I like it or dislike it. Is it a will I say it's a credited fight? Do I consider it to be legit interest to fight fans is out there? Sure. Because if they run it back the way I'm talking about since 135 up to now, you know, off the backboard rebound type of deal, if you got some casual fans out there, yeah, they're gonna look at it like, yeah, and you know, Tio gets to fight a black fighter. He don't have too many of those on his record. And then they're gonna say Devin Haney, it's not Ryan Garcia, but it's Tio. He got close. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Devin Haney got close. It's not Ryan, but it's Tio. He got close. The skin complexion is just a little bit the same, but it's not the same. I'm just being honest with y'all. He got close to a Garcia, but no. You got to deal with Tio. Now, how the fight turned out, I don't care to talk about it right now. I don't care to talk about it. Let me transition over and change lanes to the PBC presser. We had a presser today where we seen some faces for real. You know, we seen some faces that was out there, man. Shout out to PBC, you know, very solid card. I look at it like this with the Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora. Hell of a matchup. I'm glad that Tim Tszyu was able to get 2 fights in between. This is what I'm trying to explain to people, right? Without actually, you know, grabbing a freaking low light lamp, you know, illuminating lamp, cut the lights off and draw on a board to paint a picture and you know, go through the extreme as to why this fight is perfectly assigned. Perfectly. Because we had Sebastian Fundora come off a loss, knockout, loss. He gets the call up. Boom. He goes in there and due to an incompetent decision by Team Tszyu, they went past the 4th round. Sebastian Fundora wins. He wins, but he hasn't defended. I don't call the Cordell Booker a defense, goddammit. Cordell Booker was almost like Atari back in the day. The motherfucking, you had one little joystick and a one red button. That was it, man. You know, Cordell Booker was somebody who came in there to work up a sweat with Sebastian Fundora. It wasn't anything that was, you know, going to get a little bit scary. No, nobody was thinking that Cordell Booker had a chance. But what I like about Tim Tszyu is he came back against Murtazalayev and he felt that he could get this guy up out of there in 30 seconds. And boy, that 30 seconds was different, wasn't it? Am I lying? That 30 seconds was something fierce. He would lose via stoppage. Damn. The Tim Tszyu had got cut on the top of his head. Real bad cut. Fought through it. A war. And went to the final tick. Come back. And we're not totally sure on how much it affected him internally. But obviously it did something because he was very skittish. You know, he was very apprehensive about engaging. A couple of times he touched the top of his head. I can totally understand. He didn't want it to bleed out again. You know, he didn't want to go through that. But he was crushed. You know what I'm saying? He was crushed. Then he came back and fought the guy who I consider to be Cordell Booker. Yeah, I do. He went in there and fought a Joey Spencer. Once again, I don't have no skin in the game when it comes to how I feel about Joey Spencer. I just feel like he had great hype behind him at one point, but that totally dissipated. Went away quick. He went in and did what he's supposed to do. Got him up out of there. 2 fights in between. That just goes to show you. You all that talk about bums. You're not calling Tim Tszyu a bum. Or did you? I know a lot of people was riding Tim Tszyu off. But just because he went to war with Sebastian Fundora, you say, oh, I'm going to give him a pass. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give Tim Tszyu a pass. Why? Because he showed the warrior spirit. He went in there with a cut, and he went the distance when he could have called off the fight at the 4th. Some people thought that was the glory of full contact sport, such as boxing, the hurt business. The others thought it was ill-advised, incompetence. So when he came back and got mollywopped by Murtaza Zalaev, people was like, "Oh shit, Tim Tszyu, he's done." You know how boxing fans do. They pick you up like you working at the airport, and you have some luggage that's been on the carousel since 2:00 in the p.m. and now it's damn 2300. You take that piece of luggage and check it in the lost and found. That's how boxing fans do fighters. They check their ass up to the lost and found. Hey, I'm gonna pick you up a little bit later. I mean, you show me something, I'll take you up out of here. You show me that you got it. Right now, I'm gonna put you down as lost. I lost interest. And that's what they did to Tim Tszyu. So if you gauge him coming back and fighting a fighter like Joey Spencer, it's really nothing. When I tell you it's really nothing that I can come up with to say that he got anything from fighting Joey Spencer. I don't see anything that Tim Tszyu picked up from fighting Joey Spencer, except maybe one driplet or 2 or 3 of sweat off of his forehead, down his cheek onto the canvas. I don't think he even broke a sweat. He stopped that man in 4 rounds. I don't even think his heart rate changed. Real talk. The showers was still on and the car was running outside. He got absolutely nothing. This man came off a 2-fight losing streak to go in there against Joey Spencer, which people was like, oh yeah, that's what he needs. That's what it's soft, super soft touch. Got him up out of there in 4. Super soft touch. You know what I'm saying? But now he gets to go back in there for a rematch with Sebastian Fundora. Ooh wee! Not only that, we have the main event. We have the grand old man, Manny Pacquiao. We have the Filipino grand old man of professional boxing, Manny Pacquiao. From my estimate, right? Not what his birth certificate says, but my estimate, in boxing years, Manny is probably 57 and a half years old right now. AARP certified, Geritol sponsored. Okay, Manny Pacquiao on there looked like a usher. Manny Pacquiao stood behind that podium. Yeah, I like to say that God is my savior. And I would like to say, I know you asking, why am I here? I ask myself sometime too. Why am I back here? Oh, yes, I need that money. Nobody's saying that Manny Pacquiao needs a paycheck. All they say is, oh man, the legend. Oh, let's pay homage to the legend. His unique situation. I mean, come on, man. Manny Pacquiao. Every time he returns back to the ring, all of a sudden people act like they speak no English. And they want to speak Tagalog, but they don't know how to. Manny Pacquiao, man, he's too old. He ain't too old. He's the 8th division champion. What does that have to do with anything? Dudes in this sport, man. He going in there against Barrios, that's the right opponent for him to shine because he has a higher end. They start giving all these freaking pros and cons comparable to the way Barrios has looked his last couple of fights. What a therapeutic exemption that Manny Pacquiao has. I swear, y'all, they write Manny Pacquiao that hall pass quicker than you can blink. All the other preliminary prerequisites that these other fighters get of criticism, no, not with Manny Pacquiao. They get Manny Pacquiao free of anxiety, stress, or aggravation. They quickly tell you 8th division champion, nobody. And when I say nobody better not mess with Manny, nobody better not mess with Manny Pacquiao, y'all. I'm serious. Let me get to this chat. Shout out to the chat, man. I can't get to all of y'all. But salute to those, man, who's in the building. Shout out to Blue Hustle, man. Shout out to Puma in the building. Mike in the building. Man, what to do, sports prediction? I ain't gonna lie. Hey, sports prediction 101, man. I'll be laughing my ass off, man, when you be sitting in there. You said some shit the other day. I don't even want to make it about him. But, man, I was laughing my ass off, man. I ain't gonna lie. But shout out to Sports Prediction 101, man. Shout out to OG, Bruce Gas, Boxer Jazz, and more. What's good? AC in the building, Andrew Charles. What it do, man? If Roach wins the rematch, see, here go Blue Hustle, man. Just when I feel that Blue Hustle is coming around and he understands, what's expected, when you're speaking on Tank's name. He said, if Roach wins the rematch, are Tank fans going to give Roach his props? See, sometimes you can just hope and wish, but on the flip side, you need to add additional prayer to that. And, I just don't do the if. You know what I'm saying? I stay away from the if when it comes to this. Because I know deep down inside, Blue, along with some other boxing fans who are black, white, and the other, I know they wasn't Lamont Roach fans until Lamont Roach went in there and had the best evening of his life. That's why we seen Lamont Roach on a freaking press tour going around here acting like he just unified the lightweight division. I mean, people are clueless, man. But, one thing I will say about Blue Hustle, thanks for being consistent. I knew something had to come up. I knew it. Hindsight being 2020, it should have been obvious Roach was going to humble Tank. I don't know if Tank got humble. Maybe from a braid. I mean, anybody who has been riding, like, just say, for instance, a bicycle, and you get hit in the eye by a little small bug, man, that shit hurts. I know some of you damn near lost your lives back in the day when you was riding bikes. Those of you that was here before social media and we was outside. That shit hit you in the eye. You went off road, crashed into somebody's house, man. You was in the bushes kicking and bucking, and, it was just a little gnat. But now that you done grown up in the world, now you want to look at it like, man, that was some baby shit Tank had going on. His braid didn't hit him in the eye. They've been a video that say his did. His did. I also thought Pitbull humble Tank. I had him winning that fight. Let me ask you a question, Andrew. This is a non-multiple choice question. I just want to know, why did you select Tuesday to use the word humble so much? Who has gave you the impression that they have stepped through the ropes against Tank Davis and they were somewhat humbled? Because just because you have two fighters and their opponent, Tank's opponent, comes in second place, are you treating it as if he almost won? Like, he almost got victory because he came in second place? Like, what is second place when it's only 2 people in the race? I'll wait and come back to that. In this fight, the Tankaholics was punching. They are in the fight. That's funny. That's funny. I see you got your stand-up. You know, you got your stand-up attire on tonight. That's a good joke right there. After taking a knee, he asked his corner, did he hit me with 2 punches? You know, hey, one thing you're leaving out is the fact that he was able to talk to his corner, retrieve a towel, wipe his face, and return the towel with no point deductions, Blue. I mean, you don't understand where I'm at with it. With no point deductions, brother. Come on, be real. I don't know where that word you're saying come from. Blue said Benavidez is just glad he was on the same card as Tank. No. Don't try to say as if it's some type of alliance. Don't do that, brother. Don't do that, brother. Don't come over here like you're trying to recook. You know what I'm saying? Old stale food. No. I mean, these comments that you're making, no, they're old and stale, man. For real. You can't say Benavidez is not a person that thinks for himself. And that's what he said. He said, that's why I cut my hair. You know, I went through the same exact situation. It's not a good feeling. You know? And for those of you that's believing like Blue that he was punched in the eye, I don't think so. You know, that punch, when did Lamont Roach become a freaking Thor type of thrashing type of fighter? When did anyone in boxing respect his punching power to be that to drop Tank? No one. Past or present or posthumous. No one is going to sit up here and co-sign Lamont Roach throwing power that people should be aware of. I hear what you're saying, Puma. Let's just hope everything is aligned. And from what I know, from what I've been hearing, he's had an excellent camp. You know, up to this point, everything is locked in. The calibration is there. No, because who supersedes who? The third man in the ring is there for what? Supervision, and to make sure there's order, and to ensure that it's a fair fight for both combatants based off what they went to school for. Tank takes no blunt of the culpability at all because a referee failed to do his job. Shout out to Jay. What's good, man? Yeah, pretty much there, Arnold. What's going on, Arnold, in the building? AB he said, "Combat. Are you suggesting they get a coffin ready for Roach?" See, I'm not trying to associate Roach was a good guy, you know, with a memorial service. But that it may be something that they consider. I don't know who's gonna fund that casket, but to be honest with you, that's a good suggestion right there. I think they should have some type of device in order to properly lay Lamont Roach into it with a nice soft pillow to make sure that he is revived in the locker room accordingly. Because we want to see Lamont Roach come back and defend his title. That's point blank, period. I want to see nothing but the best for him and all that. Shout out to Big Blunts and Boxing in the building. What it do, man? Salute to you. Tio is the fighter of the year for not taking fights. It's sad he's trying to ruin his career. I don't know if he can do any more, he can do any more damage than what he's done. Like, he's been bucking the system for a minute. If you hit the replay button back to when he was negotiating his fight with Lomachenko, him and his pops have been bucking the system for a minute. It's just, I don't like, of course, the racial tones that he's been disseminating out to the general public, and continue to residually put him out there as if it's something to play with. And it just goes to show you, when Crawford put his arm around him and he cowered down, and then when Crawford wasn't there, he was talking again. Kind of remind me of a certain movie, huh? Shout out to the OG Golden on deck. Hey, give a shout out to the Strays is in the building. I'm surprised you in the building with with the conversation being pretty much evolving around Tank Davis. I thought you would be over here more so for Canelo Alvarez, the Clint Factory. You know what I'm saying? But I guess the thumbnail. Either way, I think the thumbnail did what it was supposed to. Y'all want to come over here and make yourselves known a little bit, like a little gnat flea. Because of Tank. No matter what you're saying in the chat, those strays is over here, it's not gonna matter, bro. It's not gonna matter. He's gonna prove his point, and he's gonna prove it viciously. Okay? Viciously. I know a lot of you are thirsty for some entertainment, but I'm sorry. See, I see some of the black fight fans over here saying that they have Roach, like the OG, Golden saying I have Roach beating Tank. And I really have to look at it like the how. Like, I'm not saying that they're not going to fight, but why is all the switching up, and why is all the venom coming for Tank? Just because he politely told the guy, no matter what you do, it's not gonna matter. They're Golden. He used proper common courtesy, and etiquette. It's just like telling your kid to make sure they eat their vegetables and everything, man. Why are y'all so mad at Tank, man? He took a knee. Okay, the count was started. Is that his fault it didn't continue? No. He went over there, goddamn asked for a drum leg out of Popeye's chicken dinner, goddamn wiped his face and everything, continued to drum the leg, got back in there when he was still chewing. And, Steve Willis said, man, you okay? Man, you can't be doing that. Try to act like it was some ice in the corner and shit. He said, hey, clean up this corner. Stalled him out a little bit, and then, restarted the fight. None of that is Tank's problem. He shouldn't get blamed for none of that. That's all. He shouldn't be blamed for none of that. So for those of you that keep on trying to believe that there should be some type of court hearing to revisit in hindsight, all of you that was at the courthouse, trying to advocate for Lamont Roach to get that victory. No, it's not going to happen. He had his opportunity. And as much as I don't want to put this scenario together, Lamont Roach, he had his opportunity. He was provided an opportunity, a very weighty payday. He has a lot to thank Tank for. You know what I'm saying? He has a lot to thank Tank for. But him believing that he was going to win is just like Barroso when Tony Weeks stopped the fight. I mean, come on, man. Come on. No, you're not winning the rematch. And you won't ever get another opportunity to fight Tank. You're about to take your third loss. Okay? Because everybody know you lost the first fight. They just don't want to give it to you because Tank took a knee and freaking Steve Willis didn't continue the count. Okay. But hey, you about to take your third loss and you're going to be fine. You're going to be able to go back down to 130 with more freaking appraising value as a fighter. You have more leverage. People are going to, be able to give you a little bit more numbers on your paycheck. Man, Tank has did you well there, Roach. You should thank that man. Give him a Hallmark card. He don't use grease like black people. Benavidez probably used gel in his braids. No, he said he used the same thing Tank did, man. He was perfectly clear, very lucid. You know what I'm saying? No switching up the words, man. No switching up the words. He was very clear. But let me go up here to what Golden. Where was Golden comment? I gotta put this. I gotta put. What is Golden? What was his at? Let's see. Gotta put that up there for the replay. Because when I do my panel, I want to be able to remind some people of the screenshots when they was over here, mentally loose, with erratic behavior. I have to remind them of that. Shout out to the boxing queen, Jessica, in the building. Hopefully all is well with you and the fam. Hope your year is going well. And it's good that you just came in here because some of the chat members, Jessica, they've been acting a little bit dysfunctional, bucking the system. They really hating on Tank Davis for no reason. He's innocent in all of this. They really trying to big up Roach. I've never seen a Roach defeat a Tank. Have you, Jessica? If you seen a cockroach and a Tank rolled over the cockroach, have you ever seen one just say, I'm good. Dang, I ain't see that coming, but I'm good. No. What you saw required you to make an immediate phone call to the forensics department when it goes to wildlife, insects, because that roach is going to be splattered. It's not going to be moving, but they will use it for scientific evaluation. For those strays is over here, come on, man. Come on, just say a little bit more, man. I need some more enrichment. Okay, let's work on contextual enrichment. I mean, you coming over here just doing one-liners, and I'm like, two-liners is good, but just tell me something that really gets the twinkle going. I'm hearing the same thing. The hater's gonna hate. That's why I look at it. Just give me a little bit more twinkle. What can you say something that I haven't heard before? That's all. Streets on deck. He said Roach not getting it done, but that first fight, Tank lost. I got to keep it real. I don't know what type of real you mean, though. I don't know what type of real you mean, like the interpretation of the real that you mean. I don't know what you got to keep it real. What's the real that you mean exactly? If those of you that's over here talking about Tank has issues and stuff like that, can you please drop a link as to when you graduated? You know what I'm saying? When you graduated and became a qualified psychiatrist, psychologist, or a therapist, or a life coach, mentor, counselor, just any of that. Just drop a link so I can look at your video and really assess, kind of drop some of your therapy sessions in here too. And some of you that's talking about, IQ and, you think you can assess Tank's condition as a fighter. Last time I checked, shout out the Nip. Last time I checked, Tank Davis was undefeated. Last time I checked, Tank was undefeated. No, I don't know that. I don't know that. Man, what's with all the resistance, man? This is the hottest chat in the MF gang. What's with all the resistance, man? What? Okay, it's Tuesday. What movie y'all watch today? Is it storming over there? What's going on? What's going on with y'all, man? What's the circumstances that I'm dealing with? Did something happen? Did something happen? Did you find out your gerbil? It wasn't on the pinwheel no more. It was just laying in that mug, and you just spent it. It didn't move. Did your gerbil pass? I mean, what's going on, man? He told the referee to stop counting. Nope. That's only rumor. Now, what I would suggest you do, Blue, if you can do this for me, can you practice being honest? Tank doesn't have the power to tell the referee what to do. Even though he may voice his concerns in the ring, he's not in a position to dictate or direct a referee as experienced as Steve Willis to do anything. That tells me something ain't right. You're trying to say, well, he told referee. No. He may have suggested, hey, ref, can you stop the, he'd say, hey, Steve, can you stop it? I'm the face of PBC. Can can you do me a favor? Can you stop this right quick, please? I appreciate it. And please don't take a point from me. I had to go over there and get a towel. You know what I'm saying? Just wipe some stuff off my face because my, the chemicals in my hair. I think they tried to sabotage me. Can't drop the link today, buddy. Can't do it. Not today. I can't drop the link today. Tank post interviews is proof he lost. He had that crunchy feeling. Hey, man, listen. Tank didn't want to rub it in people's faces that if you felt he lost, in reality, he won. Because Steve Willis didn't continue the count, nor was there a point deduction, right? So if you combine those two together, Tank won. Regardless of what people are trying to say, looking back on it, as human beings, one thing you should ask yourself when you attend church service on Sunday and Wednesday, Father God, I ask you, respectfully, Father God, I ask you, can you grant me this one blessing? Ask Father God to be able to bless you with ESP. Okay? Ask him to be able to bless you with the ability to predict situations before they actually happen. Now, if you can get that blessing, please show back up to the chat because I would like to hear your input, and also I would like to play some bets online. Okay? So, being that none of us on here has ESP, we couldn't predict what was going to happen. So, real talk, we couldn't predict. We couldn't predict. We can only see as it's playing out in real time. And then we can make our assessment to say, you know what, through further examination, Steve Willis dropped the ball. Now, at that point in time, Tank Davis is separated from any consequences and repercussions. Steve Willis is absolutely, in all of its totality, culpable for not doing his job. I think the direction and the attention should be given to Steve Willis. He dropped the ball on that. He didn't deduct a point. He didn't penalize or make it a 10-8 count at all. So, like I said, it was a win-win for Tank. He didn't receive a 10-8 round. No point deduction for going outside the ropes. Oh, man, beautiful. Look, this is not even nepotism. because even though I want to say he got some family and the promotion, this is not even nepotism. You know what I'm saying? This is zepotism. This is the highest of the high. This is no. This is hepatism. This is hepatism. Tank even told Lamont Roach before the final tick, hey, no matter what you do, they're not gonna give it to you. So he should get some credit for that. He's winning. He's winning. Custom and courtesies, pure etiquette. He's winning. He told him they're not gonna give it to you. How can you hate on a fighter that basically informed his opponent that you may have a big smile on your face? You may believe that you're gonna go back to the DMV and this belt is gonna be around your waist. But it's up to me. Okay? Listen to me. Hey, Lamont, I'm over here. It's up to me to inform you that you're not going to get no glory off my name. It's not happening. And it didn't happen. So a lot of people are still feeling a little bit soggy. Seriously. They feel a little bit soggy because Tank didn't pick up the L. That's all this about. That's all this about. I just don't have time to drop the link today. That's all. Because I know Golden's gonna come over here and talk about how Roach is gonna do all this, knowing good and well he don't believe it. Blue's gonna go over here and talk about something, that he don't believe. He heard somewhere else. He's just gonna be gassing, glazing, super glazing. I'm talking about Krispy Kreme glazing. You know what I'm saying? Buy one, get one free glazing type of freaking comment. Yeah. No, man. No, they ain't gonna say Lamont Roach on no snack. They're gonna say he need a snack. They willing to send him a care package of snack when he wake up. That's what they're gonna say. Church on Saturday, like the Bible say so. Hey man, it's all good. Point deduction. Did you mean there were no disqualifications? No disqualifications. You know what I'm saying? First of all, there should have been a 10-8 round if the knee touched the ground voluntarily, right? He took a voluntary knee and then he went over there, and it should have been another point deduction, which would have made it 10-7. Or not only a point deduction when he dipped his head out the ring, it could have been a disqualification. But we know from what we witnessed, no action was taken, y'all. There was no action taken. No action was taken. Both point deduction and disqualification. No. No. I don't know what this theological the running from the smoke. I'm not sure what that means. But somehow, some way, man, I have some Roach fans in here. It's just crazy. I want to pull the triangle theory right quick. Just like I used to say that certain fighters are supporting Canelo because they dislike Crawford. I will say the same here. Some of you all are going against the grain with Tank Davis and acting and pretending like you're actually supporting Lamont Roach. But in reality, you don't like Tank Davis. Why? Because it's a hidden agenda with Shakur Stevenson being on the outskirts. I'm just being honest with y'all, man. You got culprits that is in the chat that has hidden agendas, and they're pretty much trying to, just like Uber Eats. They're busy up here trying to, drop off bags of food to certain people and then have a conversation with them. Yeah, I'm just giving you a volunteer bag of food, but yet I want to talk to you about boxing. You know boxing? Okay. We're trying to spread the word for you to support this particular fighter, Shakur Stevenson. Yeah, he's not fighting Tank yet, but we trying to, get his fan base up a little bit so people can call for that fight. Oh, I do know boxing a little bit. You talking about the guy who he's Olympian, right? Yeah. The one who won't fight The other Olympian that's in the same division. Oh, I ain't know. Yeah, I know a little bit about boxing. Am I right or wrong? They say they brothers, but they're not from the same mother. But they brothers, right? Not from the same mother, but they brothers. Oh, okay. I got it. I get it. Now I get it. I get it. I can understand why there's like a little rash on these freaking Tank haters. I get it. They spend too much time, man. They spend too much time trying to sneak in between the cracks and crevices. I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I'm disappointed in some of y'all in the chat. Why would you have disdain for Tank? He didn't do shit to y'all. Al wasn't going to let it go down like that. Absolutely. Okay, I mean, it's all good, that Golden. You don't have to like that. Look, I'm not going to tell nobody they have to like a fighter. I'm not. Real talk. I'm not. I'm just not going to do it because everybody has their own, frame and for which they hold their fighter into focus. You know what I'm saying? So it's cool with me. It's just when it comes to this particular matchup, I know without a doubt that OG Golden, he knows that it's gonna be a bad night for Roach. I think he knows that, and he preparing himself for real. He's been looking at a lot of old Phil Donahue. He's been looking at Dr. Phil reruns for real. A lot of these fans that's going for Roach, they looking at them old freaking 90s, freaking shows that they used to come on. He looking at Maury Povich, Jerry Springer. They're trying to get themselves prepared for disappointment, y'all. For real. I'm just being honest with y'all, man. They looking at some old ass TV shows, man. But shout out to the hottest chat in the MFN game, man. Appreciate y'all as always. It's been a great time. What I will leave you with, though, if you can do me this favor, to the fight fans that are not on the side of El Chin Checker, if you can do me a favor and reach out, if you know already, to the referee, the judges that's going to be on deck that night, and the commission, right? If you can do me a favor and make them aware that hopefully this time that when Lamont Roach takes a knee, a 2, or all 4s, can you allow and inform the referee to make sure they follow procedure? We don't want to have 2 fights where a referee was guilty of dereliction of duty. We want the referee to, call Lamont Roach knockdown if it happens. You know what I'm saying? Or give him the proper count when his eyes are closed and his mouth open, just wave the fight off. If you can please pass that message to those people, I would truly appreciate it, okay? I would truly appreciate if you was honest and let them know, do their job this time. If Lamont takes a knee, which he will, if he's seated on the canvas, you know what I'm saying, laying on his back, sunbathing under the bright lights, and he's breathing heavy, please tell the referee to make a judgment call and wave the fight off. We don't have time for Lamont's career to end at the hands of the Tank haters who would all, go on a protest and talking about the ref didn't do his job 2 fights in a row. This time Lamont Roach needed it and he didn't get it. I don't want to hear none of that. Do me a favor, send them a letter. If you want to be a little bit more formal with it, get it notarized. Send it to the commission. When Tank hit Lamont Roach with that left hand that he refused to throw in the first fight, when Lamont Roach gets sent first class, okay, first class, he's gonna have to take a red eye back. He gonna get a one-way ticket, first class, The same place where goddamn Frank Martin went. He's going to go to the upper room triage center. Once he's finished with that, he got to catch a red eye back. But make sure the referee get a proper count. Make sure the referee is in the best interest of the fighter. And when he put that freaking left uppercut on Lamont Roach, that Lamont thought that he can see everything that Gervonta had. And when he goes to the land of Nod, first class, y'all. I just ask that you all form a search and rescue team and make sure y'all go up here and find that man and bring him back to his family. All right. Till next time, y'all hold it down. I'm out.